But first, the championship games are set.
Oh,
How was your weekend, man?
It was good. It was good. I hope we get 4 more quarters of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes today. That's happening? No?
No. Josh Allen is done.
Shucks.
Shall we start with that game?
What a game. Let's do it.
We'll get to all the lines, all the implications, everything that happened throughout the full weekend of the NFL. We'll do it AFC first. We'll start with the last game yesterday, the marquee matchup of Kansas City at Buffalo. Rough start for Nance and Romo to start this one out, Kelley. Unfamiliar with the batting rule. Had to get consultation on that. Then Nance initially thought the second play was a catch, not incomplete. But then they got it together after the second play. 3rd and 17, first drive. Allen throws a forward pass beyond the line of scrimmage. Ruled a lateral. Chiefs don't challenge. Should have. First coaching blunder of that game on a weekend full of coaching blunders. Allen converts the ensuing 4th and 1. Matriculate. Bass 27-yard field goal, 3-0 Buffalo. 8:08 first quarter. Butker matched it with a field goal in a stiff wind. 3-3 with 4:35 left in the first quarter. Then Buffalo, 11 plays, 75 yards. Took them 6:03. 55 of those 75 on the ground. Allen in from 5. And the Bills take a 10-3 lead early second quarter. Butker would get a 29-yard field goal after Watson recovered a Hardman fumble. Little fumble luck there for the Chiefs. 2 plays before. 10-6 Buffalo. 9:12 left second quarter. Now, at this point, Mike Edwards, Trent McDuffie, and Willie Gay, 3 Kansas City starters on defense, are out. 2 in the secondary, 1 linebacker. They're done. Willie Gay would not come back. But Buffalo still had to punt there up 10-6. And Kansas City, 5 plays, 65 yards, and 234. Patrick Mahomes is Michael Jordan, y'all. Mahomes to Kelley for 22. 2 plays after Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran it for 28. 13-10 Kansas City. Now, at this point, this game just became sort of everybody who's on serve couldn't get stopped. Buffalo, 12 plays, 75 yards in 3:07. Allen in from 3, 17-13. Buffalo with 26 seconds left in the second quarter. They squeezed it in before the end of the half. Bills go to the locker room up 4. Third quarter, Kansas City, first drive to Marquez Valdez-Scantling for 30. 2 plays later, Mahomes for 24. 3 plays after that, Kelley from 3 out, touchdown. 20-17 Kansas City. You got the feeling with 11:48 left in the third quarter that whoever could break the other team's serve would win this game. All it would take is one. I have a weird note here in the middle, which is kind of random here, Kelley, which says, who watches The Equalizer with Queen Latifah? It's kind of random, but I just want to point that out. I don't really know who watches that, but they seem to promote it very heavily.
Oh, network television these days.
So funny. The acting is phenomenal, though, I can tell. Buffalo, 15 plays, 75 yards, and 8:25. Long drive. Allen to Khalil Shakir on 3rd and goal from the 13. What a pass. What a catch in the corner. 24-20 Buffalo. 3:23 left in the third quarter. Then Kansas City. You get the theme here. 8 plays, 75 yards, and 4:03. Pacheco in from 4. 27-24 Kansas City. This after Reed decided not to try for 2 after an encroachment call on the PAT. Were you okay with that at the time?
I would have gone.
I would have gone too. But he decides not to. Buffalo then a 3 and out. There is your service break, and you figure the game is over. But on 4th down, with KC having 10 men on the field, Buffalo checks to a fake. 4th and 5 from their own 30, and DeMar Hamlin stuffed for only a 2-yard gain. Kansas City with the lead, with the ball, and plus territory. It's surely going to end here, if not officially, certainly on the scoreboard for all intents and purposes. Then after a 29-yard Pacheco run to the 3, Mahomes flips it forward to Mecole Hardman, whose hip is ruled not down before he fumbles out of the end zone. Change of possession. Bills ball. The worst rule in sports strikes at its most crucial time ever. Did you think they were going to reverse that? Because initially they called him down.
Oh, I mean, I thought it was clear that it was a fumble and then into the end zone.
It's so funny. Fezzik clearly talking through his bets was like, it's so clear he's down. I'm like, no, it's not.
I thought I saw it on first look. I was like, oh, that's a fumble. It's out of the end zone. And then, I mean, I don't think any replay had made me change my mind about it.
We're not going to sit here and debate this rule. I'm just going to say again, my position is it's the dumbest rule in all of sports. There is no football justification for the other team getting the ball back.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyway.
It's amazing watching former players and coaches defend the rule.
Oh, I know. Anyway, here's the point. Buffalo, an act of God. Okay, they had something to do with it, but what a break. They get the ball back. So forget the break of serve stuff. Buffalo, 2nd down. Shakir gets trucked. Hits don't lie. Kelley comes back. 3 and out after Trent Sherfield cannot corral a deep ball from Allen. They got a punt with 10:45 to go, so there's the break of serve again. Kansas City looks like a 3-and-out. But what looked to be a bailout make-up PI call on Buffalo, they get another set of downs, still had to punt. 8:23 to go. Kansas City clinging to the lead. Then Buffalo, first play of the drive. Allen deep to Diggs, dropped. Later, 2nd and 10 at their own 43. McDuffie bats down an Allen pass that would have been picked by Snead, who was waiting for it right behind him. Then 3rd down and 10, Allen fumbles. Chiefs have multiple shots at it, recovered by Spencer Brown. So you have the fumble through the end zone. You have McDuffie batting down a ball that Snead would have picked. Then you have the unbelievable fumble luck. Buffalo, this has got to be destiny. Gotta be. Oh, the only destiny was coming up. 4th and 3, Allen to Shakir for 10, first down. Bills matriculating. 4 plays later, they get it to 2nd and 9 at the Kansas City 26 with 2 minutes to go. Then incomplete. Then 3rd and 9. Tony Romo lets us know that if Buffalo loses, it will come down to this play. Thanks, Tony. Incomplete. Bass, 44-yard try. Jim Nantz all over it. Wide right, he says the 2 most dreaded words in Buffalo. Build a dome, for God's sakes, you people. We talk about field goal kickers for a reason on this show, ladies and gentlemen. That is why we do. And we pointed out that Tyler Bass was only 24 of 29 on the year from field goal range. And that he was 1 of 3 last week. It was his destiny. Not as big of a destiny as one coming up later on the show, with which Kelley said. But that was his destiny. Kansas City with the ball now. The Bills have 2 timeouts. Pacheco for 8. Romo lets us know a first down 100% ends it. Thanks again, Tony. Pacheco for 3. Ball game. Kansas City wins. Kansas City to the AFC Championship game for a 6th straight year. Mahomes 17 of 23 for 215. 2 touches, no picks, never sacked. They only had 5 first downs. That's how dominant Kansas City was. Mahomes down 9, 1-1 career ATS as a dog. Allen, 26 of 39 for 186, 72 on the ground, and 2 touchdowns in defeat. Kansas City drives for the game, Kelley. Field goal, touchdown, end of half. Touchdown, fumble through the end zone. Their lone punt, end of game.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who sort of look back at this game and say how close it was, I kind of have to disagree, even though it was on the scoreboard. Again, the 3 acts of God that Buffalo had to get their way to even have a shot at the Tyler Bass field goal. Boy, oh boy. And then also here's this. I'm not going to miss Buffalo because I'm so tired of the 1945 offense where, like, your only play is Josh Allen running.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Chiefs' defense deserves some credit that they kind of put him in that situation, right? It was where you're going to take anything underneath. We're not really going to let you go over the top. But you're right. The other part, right? The Bass field goal. Okay, he makes that. There's still plenty of time.
Plenty of time
for the greatest quarterback in the world.
And you could there's plenty of time for Mahomes to matriculate, get Harrison Butker.
I hear you on it. It probably was worse than what it actually looked like, but man, it was still a great game with 2 great quarterbacks. All I could really take away at the end was. It's starting to get that feeling, Gill, like we've brought up with Mahomes before, and we've brought up with other sports of guys like Josh Allen and stuff. You just played in the wrong era, man. Like, you played in the wrong era. You can't get by this guy.
And with Buffalo and Kansas City, it does feel like those NBA. In the NBA, you don't just rise to the top. Jordan's Bulls had to get by the Pistons. The Pistons before that had to get by the Celtics. With Buffalo and Kansas City, it feels like that's the hump they can't get over.
It really does. And look, I know a lot of people are gonna point to his passing yardage, but I really did feel like Buffalo kind of took what the Kansas City defense, which is very good, took what they gave them. They chose to run the ball. I mean, they did that effectively. And then there was so many timely mistakes, drops. I mean, that Diggs drop.
Diggs drop.
Allen had a couple great deep throws that just dropped. They couldn't come up with, and it just that took all the life out of the game in those moments.
There was 2 long ones. Again, Sherfield couldn't corral the other long ball.
Which might not have been a perfect pass, but
no.
These are NFL wide receivers, had a chance on it.
If you had the second half over, my condolences. Imagine second half over was 23.5. There was 21 scored with the ball on the 1 for Kansas City with 13 minutes to play, and it does not get home. Did you think Buffalo got a little too cute worrying about the clock at the end of the game. Trying to make sure that Kansas City didn't have enough time, that kind of thing.
Probably. I feel like that's one that's I kind of thought about that in the while it was going on, but I feel like that's one of those that's easier to say after the fact always, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I didn't have a huge problem with what they were trying to do.
Think about, but here, shout out to Buffalo, because I don't mean to disparage in the process, but Buffalo, who was left for dead. You had an 80-1 on them. San Francisco to beat Buffalo had a 25-1 on them in that exact. And it was a great stretch at the end of the year. This was the team that a lot of people felt was the one you didn't want to play in the postseason, and maybe that was corroborated yesterday. But it's just the greatness of Mahomes. Yeah. 6th straight AFC Championship. Let's do a thought exercise, shall we?
Let's do it.
Because Will Hill said something to me watching these games this weekend. He said it after the San Francisco game, which we'll get to, obviously, coming up when we do NFC. But he said maybe the AFC is just way better than the NFC. Because Baltimore, of course, famously crushing San Francisco, crushing Detroit, crushing Seattle. 3 NFC teams. 2 playoff, 1 on the outside looking in. So I got three options. You tell me which of these statements to you rings the most true. There's a kernel of truth in all of them, but which rings the most true? 1, what Will just said. AFC just might be way better than the NFC as we project forward to the Super Bowl coming up. B, the Packers, and we'll get to this game, but the Packers might just be so good that they put a diminished Debo-less Niners team on the ropes. Or C, regardless of how you feel about A or B, pro-AFC or pro-NFC, this is the worst group of 4 championship teams ever in terms of them all being flawed that you can remember having for a long time, keeping in mind that Tom Brady was involved in most of those and a better Chiefs team with Patrick Mahomes was involved with most of those.
I'd have to go back and look through some of those, but I guess I would lean that C amongst all.
C is the one I lean to, too. Yeah. I think it goes C-A-B. But I do think I think that's what we're dealing with here. Again, not trying to be prisoner of the moment, because we had a whole year of football where the Niners at one point were dominant and the Ravens looked dominant at others.
But it's that, right? Like, I don't think it's – I don't want to make – I'm not saying that it is an incorrect claim by Will to say that the AFC is better than the NFC, but I just think it swings, right? And we're now in this swing where – okay, the Cowboys got taken out. Feel however you want to feel about them. The Eagles started off the season looking like a great team, right? End the season, and we're thinking they're an average to below average team. And you have some of these AFC teams, I think, on the rise, right? The Texans were just continually rising all season long.
The point being, with the last 4, there doesn't feel like there's an aura of infallibility with any of them. And I think every other year, with Brady, with Mahomes, there was at least one team where you thought, oh, this is the team to beat. Right now, I don't know if there's a consensus team to beat.
I agree. I think there's 3 really, really, really – I think there's still 3 really good football teams, though, remaining.
Yeah, I won't find the tweet, but somebody asked me, do you still have Detroit 11th or 12th? And I was like, well, technically it was 9th. And I said to him, I have them dead last now. I have them dead last in my power rankings currently of the remaining NFL teams.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.